All right, so for this next assignment, we're gonna do narration, and we're gonna go over the instructions first, how I went by it. So pretty much this is an identity map. I'm gonna click on here. So the narration identity map, the purpose of the identity map assignment is to help students examine, represent, and analyze the multiple facets of their personal identities as interconnected and dynamic by visually mapping their lived experiences. Students practice the rhetorical process of invention, discovering materials that shape their ethos, credibility, voice, and perspective. As a writer and speaker, as writers and speakers, this assignment situates identity as a rhetorical construct, showing how aspects such as culture, family, education, and values influence the ways individuals communicate, argue, and compose. Through organizing and linking their identities in Miro, students engage in multi-modal composition, exercising rhetorical decisions and making in both content and form, while also reflecting critically on how personal and social context shape meaning in writing. And this is just kind of getting a better understanding of, what the idea of what this purpose is. And then here are some videos. Watch these in order. Do not skip. And when I did the assignment, I did watch every single one of these videos in order. Know that stuff. They're pretty much, all these videos are related to pretty much figuring out who you are, what your identity is, what your personal identity is. And it kind of gives you a brief understanding of how to do this assignment correctly. And even here, identity mind maps, this kind of helps you get an understanding of how to do the assignment correctly. And the rest of these give you ideas on what to write about and, well, morally about yourself, because that's what this assignment is based off of. And I will say this assignment has definitely helped me get a brief understanding of who I am as a person. And that really does play a role in a lot of things in life. And also, this is also related to a couple of assignments that I've done, or a couple of readings that I've done as far as identity. But here we're gonna do identity map assignment instructions. So toolmiro.com, that's the site that you will use to complete the visual identity map and create it. So it says here, you will create a visual identity map that represents the many dimensions of your identity. This is a personal, creative, and analytical assignment that requires you to put yourself into the work. The goal is to explore how your identities, experiences, values interact with each other, not to just list them. Step one would be setting up your Miro board. Log into Miro.com and then create a free account if you don't already have one. Start with a blank canvas, title your board, your name, identity map. Then use shapes, text boxes, images, and lines to build your map. The design is your choice, but it must be clear, legible, and well organized. Step two, require identity categories. You must include a minimum of the following 10 categories of your identity. You may add additional categories if they are meaningful to you. And when I show you my diagram, it'll show that I have every single one of these alternatives. So race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, socioeconomic class, finances, pretty much your social class, religion, spirituality, belief systems, ability, disability, health, education, learning background, family relationships, community, culture, place, geographical, national, regional, and local. And then number 9 is career, professional identity, aspirations, personality, values, and interests. Each category must be represented with specific details about you, not general concepts. For example, instead of writing education, you might write the first generation college student or STEM major with interest in rhetoric. Step 3, in-depth and detail. For each category, provide at least 3 to 4 specific items. And then when I show you this diagram, you will be able to see, and I'll go over everything that I've written about myself and how certain things connect. Experiences, descriptors, values, examples, or labels. You must use text, images, or symbols, but each must be explained in writing in a short phrase or sentence. Avoid vague labels like family alone is not sufficient. You must specify your role, dynamics, or meaning. Step 4, linking your identities. Every identity must be connected to at least one other item. Use arrows, lines, or connectors in Miro. Along each connecting line, write a linking phrase that explains the relationship. Examples: influences shaped by, in conflict, creates tension, support, contradicts, builds trust, reinforces, complicates. Your linking phrases must explain how and why identities interact, not just state that they are related. Step 5, structure and autonomy. You may organize your map however, choose web, radio layers, or clusters. The structure must be intentional and reflect how you view the relationships between identities. The organization itself communicates meaning. Be prepared to explain why you chose your layout, and you must use linking phrases. Step 6, final requirements. The map must be comprehensive. Every required category present at least 3 to 4 items per category, and all items connected with linking phrases. The map must be analytical. Show tensions, overlaps, and influences, not just lists. The map must be personal. Everything included should represent your own lived experiences, background, or values. The map must be neat, readable, connections labeled clearly, text legible, not overcrowding. The map must be submitted by the deadline as a clear exported PDF image of your map. Automatic F if the image is not clear or the file is broken. And then reflection component. After creating your map, you may be asked to write a 1 to 2 paragraph reflection describing why you organized the map the way you did, which identities most strongly shape your perspective, where you notice tension, conflict, or reinforcement between identities. Detail each part of your map, including the linking phrases. And then here we have evaluation, met, not met, and that's pretty much all the instructions on how to do the assignment. Now I'm going to show you how I did it and everything that I did step by step, and it's going to reflect everything that the instructions just told me. So this is my identity map. It is a whole lot of stuff on here, but I'm just going to go over it, how everything is connected, and I'm going to go over the things that are connected. So for starters, we're going to go over race and ethnicity. Here we have race and ethnicity. I am African American, and my experiences as being African American. Being an African American is great. You learn to overcome a lot of adversity as you grow in the world. And then the examples: African Americans deal with adversity issues like racism, constant interracial crime, and poverty for years now, which interracial crime is just black on black crime. The values: health, intelligence, grit, resilience, and respect, because those are the kind of the values that African American, or at least from my experience, African Americans carry. So, and then next we're gonna do gender and sexuality. I'm a male. Experiences of being a man is not easy, but it is something a boy must become a man. You will go through a lot of good and bad. And then for the values: stoicism, emotional intelligence, physical, mental strength, and leadership. These are things that you must have, in my opinion, as a man. These are the values that you should carry with yourself. And then for the examples, you have to make decisions for yourself and learn to deal with failure, loss, or loved ones' doubt and life unexpectancy. Because that's just the things that come with being a man. Like, nothing is really going to be perfect, especially in your life. Your life is never going to be perfect. And then for here, we're going to go further down to socioeconomic, class, finance, or / finances. I grew up middle class. My experiences throughout my whole life, I have been in middle class from Alabama to Georgia. This lifestyle has been comfortable. The values Our financial stability provides more safety, improvement, and opportunities, because if you're in a lower class, you don't have a lot of these. If you're in a higher class, you have a lot of these. If you're in a middle class, you have a decent amount of these values. And then for the example, a diverse class of people living in a stable community with a higher education in common and a higher income, strong stability in jobs and saving plans. So that's just my socioeconomic class. And then for religion and spirituality. Okay, so for religion and spirituality beliefs, I'm a Christian. My experiences when I was younger, my grandmother would take me to church every Sunday. Later on in my life, it became my belief system, especially considering how strongly religious my family is. And then examples would be going to church every Sunday, reading the Bible, praying, living life in a righteous way or in purity. And then for the values, I put faith, love, respect, righteousness, humility, honesty, forgiveness, and accountability, because those are the values that come with when being a Christian. And then we're gonna go further down to ability, disability, and health. Mine would be fitness. I like to go to the gym a lot, all the time. So here I have experiences when I went from really skinny to muscular. It was very rewarding. People treat you with more respect when you are in shape and you are at a high peak as far as health. And then for my examples, I did when a man or a woman worked out, people will see the physique and be impressed by the dedication it took. Typically, when people are in shape, they are usually the most healthiest and active people sometimes. I said sometimes because not all people that are in shape are healthy, but majority of people that are in shape are pretty healthy. And then for the values, discipline, more energy, cardiovascular health, physical strength, stress relief, and physical appearance. Those are the values that come with fitness. And then for education and learning background, I did high school diploma, experiences. Lanier High School is a middle class high school in Beaufort, Georgia. The education curriculum is impressive and the teachers are passionate about helping their students. Examples would be going through high school is a big thing in life. It sets the foundation for your future, whether you want to get into the college, army, or workforce. With high school diploma, you set yourself up for values, responsibility, knowledge, discipline, and personal growth. And then next would be family, relationships, supportive system, experience. My family has supported me since I was in high school. The belief in hard work and manifestation when it comes to Christianity, they are very, very religious. And then for example, I did whenever there is something you want to achieve in life, well, my family believes you must pray and have faith. And if you put the work in, your desire will come. Values will be health, intelligence, respect, righteousness, and faith and accountability. And then for community and culture and place, I come from Alabama, Southern African American. Experiences growing up African American in Montgomery, Alabama. It has its benefits and drawbacks as far as living in a great community and not dealing with metropolitan politics and traffic. The only bad things to watch out for is the occasional racism and judgment. And then I have values, Southern hospitality, cultural pride, faith, family, and respect. And then examples would be the African American culture is big in Montgomery, Alabama, from the hip hop, rap music, and square toe boots and Jordans to the old school dunked out vehicles and deep fried food. You'll get a community of Black Southerners, which is pretty much everything that's going on in Montgomery, Alabama. And then next we'll have career and professional identity aspirations. CAT scan x-ray technician. My experiences, my friend got into a bike accident which led to him having TBI. The paramedics sent him through the ER to figure out what was wrong with him. They used a CAT scan to figure out his issue. It always interests me. Values, intelligence, knowledge, empathy, discipline, critical thinking, stability. Examples would be people come into hospitals from many issues as x-ray tech. It is your job to get a good image for the doctor. You are the eyes of medicine, and you are saving lives by helping people find solutions to people's problems. It is a rewarding career. And then next will be, the final thing will be personal values and interests. I went with ambition. Experiences, there were times when I see my mother work all day and all night to build her business. After 3 hard years of work, she managed to be successful. That showed me that having a strong work ethic can take you far. Descriptors would be focus, driven, disciplined, creative, positive, and work ethic. I didn't put values. And an example would be NBA star Michael Jordan wasn't good when he first got to the league. He realized that he needed to work on his skills, and he did just that. Nonstop. Over time, his skills got better, and eventually his work ethic led to him getting 6 NBA championships right after. So that pretty much sums up a majority of the items that pretty much sums up the 10 categories of my identity. Next, I'm gonna go with things that are connected, how certain items are connected to each other. See, it says step 4, linking your identities. Every identity item must be connected at least one other item. Use arrows, lines, or connectors. Am I wrong? Along each connecting line, write a linking phrase that explains the relationship. Examples: influences, shaped by, in conflict with, creates tension, supports, contradicts, builds trust, reinforces, complicates. Your linking phrases must explain how and why identities interact, not just state that they are related. So I'm gonna just show you what's connected. So for the first one, we're gonna do examples of, so pretty much my gender and sexuality and race and ethnicity. But we'll just go off of the bubbles. Examples: you have to make decisions for yourself and learn to deal with failure, loss of loved ones, doubt, and life unexpectancy. And then values from African American: health, intelligence, grit, resilience, and respect. And then it says these examples support how a man should have these traits to be able to deal with the problems that the world throws at a man. And then over here we have for middle class and for race and ethnicity, again, we have examples will be African Americans deal with adversity, issues like racism, constant interracial crime, and poverty for years now. And then the examples: a diverse class of people living in a stable community with a higher education and common, higher income, strong stability in jobs and saving plans. And then here I put, this complicates the example because I did not grow up poor as an African American. And then next we have this box right here at the top. So let me space this out. All right, so we have ambition, descriptors, description, focus, driven, disciplined, creative, positive, work ethic. And then we're gonna head over to this bottom part. Here we have, zoom in a bit. Here we have examples: on a man or woman workout, people will see the physique and be impressed by the dedication it took. Typically, when people are in shape, they are usually the most healthiest and active people. And then let me back out of this, go up to the top, and it says these descriptors influence these examples. If people have these traits, they will be able to obtain a healthy body. All right, so that's the top up there. We did this one, we did this one. And then I want to go further down to these two, my family relationship support system, and I want to go with Christianity. So experiences: when I was younger, my grandmother would take me to church every Sunday. Later on my life, it became my belief system, especially considering how strongly religious my family is. And then at the bottom, experience: my family has supported me since I was in high school to believe. They believe in hard work, manifestation when it comes to Christianity, and they are very religious. And then in the middle for the connection, I put my grandmother being Christian supports how Christianity viewed in my family. And then for these next two, same thing almost, but this time for fitness. Example would be, whenever there is something you want to achieve in life, my family believes you must pray and have faith. If you put the work in, your desire will come. Having faith and putting work influences this decision. Experiences: when I went from really skinny to muscular, it was very rewarding. People treat you with more respect when you are in shape and you are at a high peak as far as health. And then in the middle, I put having faith and putting work influences decisions. So I got those. And then next would be, so here we have career shaped my graduating out of high school. We have this example right here. Example: people come into the hospital for many issues. As an x-ray tech, it is your job to get good images for the doctor. You are the eyes of medicine. You are saving people's lives by helping find solutions to people's problems. It is a rewarding career. And I put example: going through high school is a big thing in life. It sets the foundation for your future, whether you want to get into college, army, or workforce. With high school diploma, you set yourself up. And then for the connection, I did this career was shaped by graduating high school. And then the next one would be, here we have another one for ambition and X-ray tech. All right, so here we have examples: people come into the hospital for many issues. As an X-ray tech, it is your job to get good images for the doctor. You are the eyes of medicine, and you are saving people's lives by helping find solutions to people's problems. It is a rewarding career. And then I have descriptors: focus, driven, discipline, creative, positive, work ethic. And then it says these descriptors support these examples. These are the few traits you must have to gain a career in the medical field. And then over here, this will be the final one, the final connection. Examples: African Americans deal with adversity, issues like racism, constant interracial crime, and poverty for years now. This supports the experience because as an African American, racism can happen anywhere. And then you go down here, experiencing growing up, and growing up African American in Montgomery, Alabama has its benefits, drawbacks as far as living in a great community and not dealing with metropolitan politics and traffic. And the only bad thing to watch out for is the occasional racism and judgment. Like I said before, this supports this supports the experience because as an African American, racism can happen anywhere. So, and that pretty much covers up step 4, linking ideas. I organized the map in web radio format. It gives the identity map a more formal, professional look to liking each part. Each part of my identity has been experienced. Values, examples, descriptors, supports, complications, and influences. Putting the categories around the center and putting them together with lines, I was able to show the 10 categories of the identity map. This is pretty much just the 1 to 2 paragraph that he's asking for, which is race, gender, socioeconomic class, religion, ability, education, family, community, career, personality, and items in these identities that interact with each other. I created the map to where there are complications and influences. For example, people living in a stable community with a higher education in common, higher income, strong stabilities and jobs and saving plans. This example to my experience living in middle class compared to my other example. African Americans deal with adversity, issues like racism, constant interracial crime, poverty for years. Now notice how 2 of these examples do not influence or support one another. Some connections show support and growth, while others tension, complications, and that can shape someone's experiences, or perspectives. This way of approach helped me analyze how different aspects of identities overlap, they affect each other. This identity map truly gives a bigger insight on who I am and what my identity is. One of the identities that really stood out to me is my ability relates to my daily life habits of having a strong discipline and will can shape a person to be the best version of themselves, especially since it lines up perfectly with my personality and ambition. And then the descriptors for ambition influence the examples of ability, which allows these two identities to go hand in hand with each other. For example, you can have the creativity and skill to build a house, but you will need the tools to help the process. The map demonstrates how experience, values, and goals work together to create a person's perspective and decisions. And that's pretty much it for the identity map and for the 1 to 2 page paragraph. And just to recite back to the course competencies, this actually does recite back to write essays based on personal experiences, which was what I did, and observation and assigned readings. But this only dates back to the personal experience and observation for the course competencies. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna move on to the next assignment,